went from basically startup to 100 million a year. Is that right?
Mhm.
Is that 100% D2C? There's no B2B play with that?
No, direct to consumer, all of it.
Wow. Tell me the story about the brand.
Colby, you want a story about the brand? Well, there's a million stories about the brand, but the one you want to hear is basically about 7 years ago, got in a fight with my girlfriend. She had a really bad job, and I said, quit your job. And she said, what are we going to do if I quit my job? And I said, don't worry, I can figure this out. We'll come up with something. So I walked into she trusted me, number one, which is always important in business.
And relationships.
Bought a little scrap of leather and made a leather journal. And then we started going to art festivals and just broke records and put it on Etsy and literally became a top 100 seller of all time within like a year.
Mm.
And then went online with our own stores, our own branding, our own company, and just literally have been growing each year. I mean, we double every year, but there's a million things involved in that. It's not so simple. There's a million subtleties of the art of building the company up. And I kind of do that on a schedule, kind of like you would with school. Like everything is like fall to Christmas, and then Christmas until, May, and then here's your summer. And then you just keep going in fast chunks. And for some reason, you just keep hitting your goals and growing bigger and bigger. And then people say, did you always picture it was going to be this big? And you answer two different ways. Sometimes you say, of course we did. And then sometimes you're like, dude, we were just struggling day to day. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been a ton of pivots and learning opportunities with that. What's the size of the company right now?
In terms of?
Like headcount.
Well, it's a little more complex than that. In Portland, we have about 80 people.
Okay.
That's a lot of graphic artists, 5. We have our own photography, photo editing, 8 people on our social media. We have returns, we have logistics. And then we started down here in León, Mexico, a little leather bag making company. And now we're the largest leather bag making company in North America.
Oh, wow. When you say that, are you referring to, I saw some articles, I was doing a little research on your brand before we started this.
I'm glad you did some research.
I did. I wanted to be able to hold a conversation at least. I saw that in Q1 you were announced sister company. Is that the one you're referring to? Or
we started patina.com, which is a shoe company, and that started last summer. And then do you want to actually go talk to them a little bit about that? Even if we go ahead and close the doors, but then actually talk to them about that. She knows. Sorry about that.
No worries.
We're actually in a place called Grand Central. Okay. And we call it Grand Central because literally it's the hub here in León, Mexico, about 2 million people, where all the leathers and shoes and everybody comes to this. And so I sit near the front door and literally people are coming in and out, and it's a little crazy. So the shoe company, patina.com, is a sister company, and it's just taken off. It's doing phenomenally well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And
I would say down here in Mexico, we probably have 600 people.
Oh, wow. Okay. And is that mainly on the production side or just the whole gambit?
There's so much more to business than people understand. There's the logistics. There's some of the sample making. We have a team just in 7 people who literally just scour the world to find the best leathers to make our bags with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And a lot of it's made here. It's the capital of leather making in North America.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to go everywhere to find the U.S. hides that are being made into the best leather, because we just don't. The thing that makes us different, Colby, is I was too stupid when I started this to know any better. You know a good piece of leather when you get it, right? You're like, that feels good. And then someone gives you one that's kind of covered a little too much. You're like, that feels a little plasticky. And the reason it feels plasticky is because it is. Mm-hmm. They took a bad hide and they covered it with a bunch of stuff, so you can't tell the difference. And our people got used to having it just feel and smell and look. And age like leather, right? And so you can only use so much of the hides, and they've got to be the best ones from around the world, right? So we literally use the best leather, and then we make it into the bags, and then we sell it at a price that makes our competitors sick, right? And they're like, how can you sell it that low? And the reason we can do it that low is because it continues to drive more and more. We spend a lot of money on Facebook. We spend a lot of money on Google, right? We get more customers from somebody's friend telling them about our bag than we do on Google.
Paid
Right?
acquisition. I was going to say, I was looking at your Facebook ad library before this as well, and you had quite a bit of ads running. So I was assuming there was quite a bit of ad spend in the account with all those ads that were running.
If you made the mistake of going to one of our websites, you're getting tracked around the world and we're showing you product and that algorithm is just going to feed you, man.
Yeah.
It's going to feed you and feed you.
Yeah. And so I know you said when you started out, you mainly grew on Etsy for the first year. Is that right?
No, art festivals, actually.
Art festivals, and then you built out an Etsy store and you were selling on there. Tell me a little bit about that marketing journey. I know, we were chatting a little bit before and you were talking about opportunities to talk with. You said, the definition of being a marketing company. What does that mean from your perspective?
So that's tricky because I actually started telling people that I've only started allowing people to interview me and do podcasts in the last month and a half. Okay.
I'm
And
at
it,
the early stage then. Thank you
and
for
it
that.
took me about the first 3 or 4. I had a couple people call me up and say, dude, that doesn't sound like you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm too engrossed in marketing right now. So I sound like a jerk on YouTube that says, here's what you got to do. Right.
Yeah.
And you miss the subtle art of building a company. But we are marketing led. And let me tell you what that is. It started from an art festival. If you go to an art festival, 99% of the people at that art festival made something and then they go out in the world and see if they can sell it to somebody. I created this company because I wanted to make a really cool leather journal, right? I wanted one, right? And so I made it and then I thought, can I sell it? But I approached it from marketing side. I had my girlfriend quit her job, right? How do
Mhm.
we grow this? How do we make enough money to pay the gas money to get back home? We're in Seattle. Uh-oh. How do you pay the hotel, pay the fee, and still make it back home and are able to eat more than donuts on the way, right?
Yeah.
That is marketing driven, and I'm a marketing guy. So I literally said, how do we get everyone to buy our product? I mean, I just would obsess on the marketing side.
Mhm.
Everyone else obsessed on the product side. They
Mhm.
just like, oh, if I made it blue, maybe that would work. Now, I did that too, because as a marketing guy, I know you have to nail the product. You just have to do that. So I would say we need some that are priced lower, some that are priced higher. We need this. And I would sit in that booth at that art festival, and someone would come in and pick up our product. And then they'd say, this is amazing. It's what I've wanted. And then they'd walk out. And that destroyed a marketing guy like me. I'm
Mhm.
like, no, no, no. I actually started bringing 2 chairs. I'm like, sit down in the chair next to me and tell me why. Well, like, why are you not doing it? Well, you don't accept credit cards. Now we do accept credit cards. Why now? Well, I wanted one bigger. How much bigger? How many pages? How this? What kind of leather? What? Oh, I want one that has an embossment of, okay, what is that? And I took it as my goal to get every person to buy. And it's the best practice for having a storefront, right? Because some
Mhm.
people just say, oh, I've got a product. I put up a website. I'm not making any money.
Mhm.
It's the same thing as having a festival tent where you have tens of thousands of people walk by, right? Some come in, some stayed for 5 seconds, some stayed for 3 minutes. Some people pick it up, set it back down and leave, and some people don't. We would do things like this. It's very applicable to direct commerce. I would set up my booth a half hour before the event. Now, everyone sets it up hours in it. You know what I mean? They get it straight and perfect. The reason I didn't set it up, it was never going to stay like that. So I would watch people walk in. Which way is traffic going? Where's the sun at? Where are people like clogging up and not walking into the booth because of something? And an hour in, I would rip the whole booth down and change it for that particular event. Here's one in Seattle, here's one in
Mhm.
Anacortes, here's one in Eugene, Oregon, right? They're all different because some people set their booth up every time the same. I went in thinking, how do I make it better throughout the 3-day event?
Mhm.
We did the same thing with Etsy. We did the same thing with our storefront. I'm always walking into that thing saying, what does somebody see for the first time who doesn't know? Do they see a smiling face? Well, we better our models better have a smile on it because that's how I want to be greeted if somebody came into my booth at an art festival. Now, I had run big companies before this, so I'm not someone who just happened to run an art festival and lucked out. I'd also messed up those big companies. So I saw it both ways, and I wanted to make sure I didn't do that this time.
Well, it sounds like you really obsessed over the customer experience. And one thing I've recorded of a few episodes at this point, and each episode, someone's in a different area. Someone's in paid social. I had Sarah Levenger. She's more in creative strategy. Every person would talk about the importance of speaking with your customers, and whether it's post purchase surveys or actually getting on a phone and talking to your customer to understand. It sounds like that started with your festivals, and I imagine has continued with the website experience as well.
There's two things that we did at the beginning that is a little bit of luck on personality that really played well. Number one, when my girlfriend quit her job, she said, "What am I supposed to do?" And I said, "I will promise people something. You have to make sure I do it, right? I will promise that I will write them an email back. I'm always going to forget. My mind's going on. You actually have to do the email, right? Oh, don't worry. I'll ship that to you. I'm not going to ship it. I'm going to forget. I mean to. I want you to know I'm not being deceptive. In my mind, I believe I'm actually going to do that, but I never actually get around to doing that. So I told her to do that. So she became customer service. And we're both the youngest. So I want people to like me and she wants people to like her. So I would talk to all the people at the festivals, and then someone would ask a simple question on Etsy and she would write a page long, wonderful, oh my gosh, this beautiful poem of a response. And people would feel the connection
Yeah.
because first of all, you have to have attention and then you have to have connection. And then that's how customer service just was, right? We literally had a woman write 22 times before she bought. She bought, we sent it to her, and then she wrote us an email, said, "I feel like our communication is broken down because we wrote her such long, detailed messages." So we were obsessed from
Yeah.
me sitting in that booth to her sitting on the couch with her MacBook on how to give somebody experience. So when we first started hiring our customer service, they said, "Well, how do you want me to do this?" We're like, "Over the top, baby." Over the top. Imagine that they're having a bad day. And what we learned, it was a really beautiful thing. When we first started doing this, we realized when we were selling leather journals that people don't buy leather journals just as a whim. It's usually for something special, right? My son's graduating. I'm so proud of him, right? Or I want to write down my grandfather's story or something like that. So you're like, wow, if they're buying a leather good, it means something. You can't mess up your customer service. You can't mess up your shipping. You've got to do what you say. And those are the foundations that we kept with. And, now that we've scaled up and we're very big, we're still just some Portland folks, who were broke starting in a single car garage, not one of those fancy 2-car garages like most people have. And we still treat everybody really, really nice. And that really works for us. That's the subtle art. The other side is the marketing. And I'm going to tell you, I'm an obsessed marketer. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
Yeah, I love that. And I love to hear that it's been able to stay consistent as you've scaled. One area, as I've been working to grow the agency that I have, an area that I've learned is one that takes a lot of diligence and education through the process is just the hiring process and making sure you have the right people for the right seat and making sure. And I know, before we started recording this, another thing you chatted about was just how to hire the right people. I mean, what's that journey been like for you?
It's been long and
Hmm.
amazing because I've interviewed over 5,000 people. I mean, I was in every interview there for almost until now. I still have to do the final interview. And we created this as a lifestyle brand and not lifestyle for other people, but lifestyle for me.
Hmm. Whether you enjoy it.
So I wanted to surround myself with awesome people, right? So I wanted that person to come in just to be someone who was amazing in some way, right? Not only could they do it, but somebody I wanted to communicate with and someone who made me better every day, right? I got a million flaws. My girlfriend will list them for you, right? She will. Everyone will say, "Wow, Curtis is great," and boy, he's a load. He'll always talk his mind. He'll always do this. He's always pushing us fast. He's always saying jokes, right? Well, we turned it into a culture that we weren't going out to say, hey, we need people. We were accepting the best people who came to us, right? I used to say to the first thing in every interview, I would say, the odds are against you. We got an amazing team. Like, sorry to say this, like, if you're great, you might have a shot at making it here, right? And that was like, oh my gosh, that's different than we desperately need this person. And then our interviews are never what you would think. I look at the resume for one spark of one conversation. Then I ask them questions they're totally not ready for. And then we talk about their life and everything else. And all of a sudden, you get to know that person and you have a gut instinct about them. You don't care where they went to school. You don't care what they did. You say, I like and trust, and this is an awesome person I want to surround myself with every day. That's the key. Get those people and they can work in and become the people you want. That's one of it. And I'll tell you another one. We made people write to us at first, not just a resume, but a letter of why they wanted to interview and work for us. And you could gauge the people right there. I'm
Mhm.
going to be a little bit, what's non-misogynistic? What's the other side of that? I don't know what it is, but guys would always write and say, I'm the greatest guy you've ever met. I'm the perfect one for the job.
Me. Yeah.
And then mostly the women would say, I saw your company. It seems like an amazing thing. I think I could be a great part of the team. Would you, you know? And so what happened is we became a female dominated company, mostly because they're the ones who made it in for the interview to start with, right?
Mhm.
The jerks. Well, I read that. I'm like, I actually, at first, I would meet them. And then I'm like, nope, I thought he was a jerk. He is a jerk. Why waste my time on the interview, right? She seemed really nice. She is really nice. She's about the team. This person's about themselves. So all of a sudden, we started hiring more and more women. And all of a sudden, I just realized, wow, hey, if you're what a market. Like, what if you want to grow a business, have somebody who's better than they say they are, not the other way around. See, because
Yeah.
I'm a CEO, I'm a marketing guy. I truly believe I'm better than I really am. I'm positive of that. I'm the youngest of four boys. So when you have three older brothers who are bigger than you at all times, you have to build your own self-confidence because they're not giving any of it to you, right? So
Yeah.
I had to say, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. That gives me the energy to move forward. But just like with my girlfriend at the beginning of this company, I need someone to follow that up and make sure we deliver on all those promises. And
Yeah.
all the big main people in my company are, I'd say the top eight. Uh, I thought the top 10, I apologize. Eight are women who are unbelievable, so good. And then the guys are good because they have the confidence. They're still not as good as they think they are, but that's their specialty, right? Their specialty is having overconfidence and pushing things forward.
So, do you look for culture fit over talent, or do you? I mean,
Yes,
you do.
yes,
Do you
100%.
feel like anything can be trained, talent wise?
100%, first of all.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you a story. I just told the story. I was in a big tannery, the biggest tannery in Mexico. It's in Monterrey. It's called Trevino. So if you drive a Jeep Cherokee, they made the leather seats, right? And there's so much leather and there's such experts and everything has to be perfect. And I'm sitting around big, this big table, all guys. There's 9 guys. And I told them that the woman who runs all of our stuff down here, they said, who's in charge? And I said, well, and like, what's his name? And I said, well, it's a woman. And they're all like a little shocked. I was in a boardroom once and there's all these leather people and they kept saying, oh, this leather is the best. And I saw this girl in the back corner go like this and like shake her head. And then they would say, oh, this one's great for bags. And then she'd go, mm-hmm. Oh, this one's the perfect leather for this. And she'd go, No. And you knew they were at the table and they didn't know what they're talking about. And she's the one who knew everything and set up the thing. So I said, what is her name? Who is that? And I met her. Me and my girlfriend and Anna took her out for dinner. And we said, hey, we want you to come and work for us. And she was making $6 an hour, 20 hours a week. Now she runs all of our companies in all of Mexico. She
Wow.
runs the entire thing. She does the finances. She works with legal to make sure the contracts are well. She hires all the management. She runs all the meetings. She works with the logistics people. And there is nobody better in Mexico to do what she's doing than her. I don't
Hmm.
care what your resume is. Everybody says it. There's not a dispute. Everyone says, how did you find her? Well, the key is, number one, we found her. But what I had to do is basically say, you're better than you think you are. I never had to motivate her. Does that make any sense? No motivation. She was
Yeah.
self-motivated. All I had to do is say, slow down. You're great. You can do more than you think. And she just went, and now I have a gem, like literally makes my life every day so much easier. And we just found her in the tannery and she's amazing.
Interesting. Interesting. So this is where, sometimes this podcast is, what's the term I'm looking for? It benefits me. I get to ask people that I want to ask questions. One thing that we do is, pre-interview, we send a form that they fill out. So we have the application. Like you, I don't too much look at resumes, because with marketing, like, university doesn't mean a whole lot for like specific channel marketing. And then agencies are so varied in their performance that it's hard to look at like agency experience to gauge that as talent. So we send a pre-interview form, and it's talent based, or it's skill based, and we generally use the calls for the culture fit. But it's almost sounding like flipping that may be more beneficial and doing like the culture fit first, because that's what it sounds like you've done.
I think when you said it the first time, I didn't correct you. It's the people fit. It's not like, oh, that's the type of person for our culture.
Yeah.
It's just that I know the subtle art that that person is just a good and is going to be better than that one. If
Mhm.
you go against that, you're going to regret it in 6 months. And you know how painful that is. Like, how do I tell this guy they're not doing the job and they're
Mhm.
bad and they're making everyone uncomfortable? And then it's month after month of how do I clear that position up? And you've lost 8 months of your time and you knew it in the interview. You knew it.
Mhm.
You're just like, I hope they work out because we really need somebody, right?
Mhm.
Boy, that hope will crush you.
Yeah.
You've got to leave that and say, well, are they the one? You can't say, I don't know. You got to have a really good feeling, because even the good feeling when some of those are not going to work out, that if you got something wrong, that there's a reason, there's a red flag. I I believe the game is slowed down for me. I believe I see things a lot better. And you can't run $200 million companies and not, right? You got to be able to
Mhm.
do that. And what I'm noticing is red flags earlier and earlier and earlier. Just sometimes it's 5 minutes into an interview, and then we'll get out of it, and everyone will say, I liked him, I liked him, I liked him. I'm like, what about that one thing? And they're like, I noticed that too. And yeah, that does scare me. And I'm like, well, there's our decision, right?
Yeah.
Real easy.
Interesting. Okay. So let's talk about, this is a marketing mindset podcast. The listeners want to hear from you, what you have on marketing. I know you said, you spend a lot on Facebook, you spend a lot on Google, but it sounds like word of mouth marketing or just community is one of your key drivers. Is that fair to say?
We spend obscene amounts on Google and and even more, as you know, on Facebook, right? Like we have stunning amount. We go for broad ROI and we bring in the customer in, okay?
Mhm.
But we go off of a mentality because we know that our product is good, is that your margins on the front can be less
Mhm.
because you know that 35% of the people become repeat buyers, right?
Mhm.
And if you buy a second time, it actually is 5x over your average order value to start with, right?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna make these numbers up. They're not totally off, but they're not. Let's say somebody is an order value of $100.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, if they never buy again, it's $100. You got to do your math off that. If you know over the next 3 years that 30% of those people are going to rebuy, and that those are now going to spend $500 over, your math is completely different. Your funnel is completely different. It's how do I get our product in their hands to let our wonderful customer service and our wonderful insiders that we have and all of these people work together to build that long term. If you're going off of that mindset of here's my numbers and here's what it is, you don't have the guts to scale up to where you want to be. You just don't have it just doesn't make mathematical sense. And fear is going to override that and you're going to shut it down. And so on the marketing level, we spend most on Facebook. We do a lot on Google, but we'll spend money knowing it's coming back. And that's again, my overconfidence. And it's also how we have great people
Yeah.
and great products.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, good product contributes to that lifetime value as well. 100%.
You know, and I got in a couple of weeks there where I was talking to a lot of people in marketing, and I've been to a lot of the e-com things and talked to people and everything. And I started thinking, wow, just as like, here's how the marketing does.
Hmm.
And that's a mistake. It's the fact that it's the product themselves. My head of marketing, his name is McCoy. And people are like, they meet him like, this guy's a genius. And they said, what is the secret to doing this and building this company so fast? And he said, well, this is the CEO. This is Curtis. We hang out all the time, right? So he doesn't hand me a product and say, sell it. That would suck. I say, I could sell this type of product. Can you create me something at this price for this market? And we work together to create the product that's going to click the way that he wants it. And after year after year after year, he's learning the subtleties of which leather colors, where's the side, where's the price point, where's the rebuy, how do I do this? And it's that working together with the product and the marketing that's not always the case. You probably know there's usually there's a divide between the people who made that and the marketing folks, and they both think the other sides are idiots.
And you're going to get me on a tangent there. Yeah. And I'm gonna direct this back at you. As you've scaled, how have you stayed connected with customers? Are you using post-purchase surveys? Are you calling them on the phone? Like what?
Okay. So when my people see this, when I'm going to tell you my secret, and I don't know if it's duplicatable, but you're going to get it. Okay.
Yeah.
We had somebody who had a little group that liked the brand Rothy's. It's a shoe.
Yeah.
And they had a little Rothy group, and some people in the Rothy group started talking about us. So everyone in this little Rothy group started talking about. So they created their own group, and it was called the PLG Groupies, or Portland Leather Goods Groupies. Okay. And they had 2,000 people and 3,000 and 4,000. And we would look at it, but we wouldn't say anything, right? Just like, we don't want to get involved in this. But they're just buying and buying and buying. So a year ago, we started something called the Portland Leather Insiders. Okay, no, I know what you're saying. It's a Facebook group. Oh, it doesn't mean anything. If you join, go to PLG Insiders. You join. If you look at it for one day, your mind will be blown. It is 70,000 obsessed people. People, they call themselves a cult. Some of them try to buy every bag in every color. They're giving us, we have 500 posts a day, 10,000 interactions a day. They know our products better than we do. They know a flaw on our website before we do. They're a group. They have meetings around the United States where they'll say, and the most amazing thing, and this is unreplicatable, people will go on there because they feel safe. And they'll say, I've had some trouble. I have this health problem. And people will, around the country, will say, can I help? And send them things. And other group insiders will pick them up and drive them to the hospital, right? So now they have more people. So they tell their friends, and they're like, my friend bought her first bag, and now she's buying 6 and 7 and 8, right? So they give us all the feedback we need. Now we have a post survey, and that's for how did you hear it? And some of these basic things. But for products and for building, they give us too much data.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I know that you're thinking, oh, it can't be what he thinks it is. It will blow your mind. Every day I look on there and I'm like, this is crazy. take our bags apart and remake another one and put it together. We'll have
Really?
artists will take weeks to paint a bag that looks like an optical illusion of another bag. We'll have people that will they'll design things better than ours. And they'll say, hey, do you guys want to make this? And we're like, yeah, we'll make it. How many of you want to buy it? And 10,000 people will say yes. And we're like, okay, there you go. That's
With
amazing.
the
These people are absolutely know more about my products than I do.
I mean, it sounds like an amazing audience with the artists that make things, or the customers that make things. Do you do product release drops or like limited product drops for those types of items?
Oh, absolutely. We let them know, hey, what colors you want this to come out in? What is
Yeah.
this? We're going to make this. We just had one yesterday. It's just somebody found an old product when I first started the company and I made this weird little bag.
Mhm.
And I think we made like 10 of them and they became very famous on the internet. Like, can you find one of these bags?
Yeah.
And so we said, I don't think it's the greatest bag in the world, but would you guys like to make it? And we put it up and in the first hour, we sold 850 yesterday.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
and then we would have sold more, but we sold out of 2 of the colors. So
Yeah.
that probably, they're waiting for that to be returned for the number one seller. Will come back on. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's not a bad thing. So Obvi, if you're familiar with that brand, they're a
Yeah.
women's college. And yeah, one thing I hear them talk about frequently on their podcast is the increase they see in sales after the first sellout, when it's a real sellout and it takes a week or two to restock, because people in their group and their community are talking about it, and some are happy because they have it and the rest are upset because they don't, essentially.
That is something that is a subtlety that you gain over time that you
Mhm.
sure are glad when you have. And that is if you can manufacture that, that is certainly a good way. We have it with something we call our mystery box. And so let's say we have a new leather and it's fantastic, but you can't make it in every product line and everything. So we'll just make the leather and say we like it. We sell where you get a bag, but you don't know the color. It could be pink or brown or black or anything, right? And it
Mhm.
has 4 little products in it. We'll put up 500 of them and sell them out in an hour.
Nice.
And then it creates all the colors out there on the internet that people say, I like this one, I like this one. So now they have it. We didn't have to create SKUs and a whole inventory for something that might go wrong, right? But
Mhm.
now everyone's saying, I want that midnight blue, or I want that one, or I want that one. We'll make a few more. And if they get liking it, then we can say, would you guys like to bring that into the lineup for good? And you get the feedback and you know what to do. It's boy, we're fortunate. I just got to tell you, when we meet people, they're like, "Well, how do I create a group like that?" I'm like, "I don't know, dude. I just put in the work long enough, and we lucked out, and it's awesome. But I don't know if I could replicate it because
Yeah.
it's the people. We're not the heroes. It's the people buying our products. They're the heroes. And I'm not exaggerating that. They We had a woman who lost her job, and she bought herself a bag the next day. And I remember cringing. She said, "I bought this job for when I get a new job." And I'm like, "Don't spend your money. You just lost your job. Don't do it." And a week later, she said, "This bag is magic. I got a job in my chosen field, making twice the money. I bought my sister a bag because she has a crappy job. And I'm hoping that the magic carries off on her." I mean, that's you can't come on, marketing guys, try to write some crap like that. You can't do it. Their
Yeah.
lives are more interesting than mine, and I live a really interesting life.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You have an amazing community. There's three questions at the end of every episode that I ask, and we're gonna rapid fire them. I didn't give you them before, and I apologize. You're gonna be on the spot a little bit here.
I don't need it. I
Uh,
can rapid fire with you.
yeah, if you had to summarize everything we talked about today into a marketing mindset, what mindset should marketers have?
Man, you should have got me that. Okay, I was just wrong on that. There's so much to that. You have to work very, very fast, but expect results to take a long time. You, Everyone works slowly and they expect success to happen right away. That's
Mhm.
not how it works. We're this way because we did it every day and every week and every quarter and every year for a long period of time. And things magically happened that no one could have predicted, but they built on it. So you got to do more in a day and expect results over a longer period of time. In terms of marketing, that's the word go. Well, add one. Don't be afraid. If you know you got something good, you got to put the money in and scale that thing. You have to. It's going to give you the juice you need. You can't say, I'm going to test $100 a day out there. You got to go for it.
Very true. I love that. And for anyone listening that's at the stage of figuring out what they'd like to do in the marketing industry, whether they're graduating school or changing careers, what marketing roles or what marketing role or roles would you say will have the highest demand in the next 3 to 5 years?
I don't know or care. I just know this: good people can learn anything. And you, first of all, if you can't sell in this world, don't pretend you're really, I would tell anybody in college, in the industry, learn how to sell for a year of your freaking life.
Hmm.
You will learn intricacies of marketing that only people who have sold know, and marketers pretend. And then you learn how to move on from that. I don't know. And I'd like to be the know all of all of these things because I'm a true marketer, but I don't think it's about passion. I really don't. I think you become passionate about things you're good at.
Mm.
Because you get a lot of rewards and it makes your life better and you're not stressed out. So that's with me. And so it's not about passion of what you want to do. Learn how to sell, learn how to market, get better every single day. And magically, this world is not as complicated as you think it is because 90% of people claiming something are not that good. It doesn't take that much to be better than them. It just doesn't. Just get yourself a little bit better every day and every year, and you will dominate because most people aren't as good as they think they are.
Yep. Education first.
I see the recognition in your face as I said that. You're like, yep, they really think they're all geniuses, and they're really not.
Well, agreeing with education first. Every instance in life can be a learning experience if you treat it that way.
Absolutely.
And for the last question, where can listeners connect with you or learn more about you and your business?
Well, thank you very much for that plug. I was not here to plug myself. You can go to portlandleathergoods.com and you'll learn so much about our people. If you want to learn about marketing groups, go to PLG Insiders, Portland Leather Insiders, and you have to ask to be part of the group and answer some basic questions so you're not going to be a jerk, and they'll let you in. Watch it for a week. Absolutely blow your mind. For me, I just started LinkedIn a little while ago. I have a amazing person that helps me each day that says, hey, dummy, write something, or hey, do a video, or don't ignore it, because I'm a starter, not a finisher. I need awesome people surrounding me to make sure I actually do stuff. So LinkedIn really is a really good way. That's the best way. Yeah, hey, all you geniuses out there, if you get my email, I don't answer my own email. So you're not going to get through to me. LinkedIn at this point, it's like watching a great concert when you got, hey, I saw Bob Dylan, in 68 in a basement,
Yeah.
right? And now he plays for 100,000 people. Right now, that's me on LinkedIn. You literally can still get an answer directly from me. And there's no other way to get a hold of me. You're not going to get my phone or text or anything else. That's how we connected up on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, if you're listening 38, 39 minutes in, that this is your reward, go LinkedIn, not email. Now you know how to get to them. So
They all
anybody listening,
stuck on. Come
yeah.
on. What? Yeah. Oh, look at this one. You're going to see just, oh, wow, not a single person dropped.
Trend. I'll get you back on for a couple episodes. Curtis, I appreciate you coming on the podcast today.
Hey, Colby, I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. You do a great job. And so you have a great day, okay?
Thank you.